What up, what up, what up, what up, chat? What up, chat? Hello, hello. This is Remington from the Remington Room going live for the first time. Let me know if y'all can hear everything. Make sure we are Gucci. Actually, let me make sure I'm Gucci. Okay. Not sure what the sound and whatnot is like. This is really just a test stream. Um, I'll give folks some time, a little bit of time to come in and we'll see what's up. If you are in the chat, say hello. Feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to pipe up. I'm just in here testing, getting ready to, I guess, launch my little platform. You know, black folks, we love to say, oh, your little show, your little program. But we are trusting and believing it's going to be a big little show, big little platform. I'll give folks a little more time to come on in the room and find their seat. This was a impromptu live, was not scheduled. And y'all will hear a little bit more about why I'm here in just a second. Okay, I think everything checks out. My mic is on. I got my little lighting and whatnot. Background popping. Okay. So I am here. Well, first and foremost, my name is Remington of the Remington Room podcast. You may have seen me on I'm Not a Lawyer, but the debrief. I've got a lot of new followers since I've been on that podcast. It was a great time. It was lovely to be around people who share the same insights as me, and people said they learned so much from me talking. And so everybody has been encouraging me to start my own little thing, and so here I am starting my thing. I am here to essentially break the seal of my internet presence and starting a platform. I've always known that I've had these like really big dreams. I've always pursued these big dreams all my life. I've really always been about bringing people together, helping people understand each other, and particularly across lines of race, specifically Black people and white people. I am from Tennessee originally, and so I grew up in the South. And of course, you know, that comes along with all the isms and things that are feel like epigenetic in what we do down here in the South. Um, but I feel like I've always known my dream and my purpose from a very young age to work toward breaking down those lines of difference and the way people misunderstand each other when it comes to race. And if you ask anybody who knew me, people would tell you Remington has always been a big thinker. He's always been a big dreamer. And that is very true. But these past few years, I have started kind of asking myself, okay, if God made me this way and he has a plan for what he gave me and how he made me, then why isn't it like working? I've been out here on this grind it feels like forever. I would probably say honestly since middle school, high school, maybe actually even elementary school. I noticed these issues of race and class and privilege and stuff really early. And as a lot of I started out as a teacher and went from there, started my own business as a consultant. And while I have done like many great things on the local level, as well as like even, I've ventured out into some other states. I've had previous little platforms before. And so, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. But it still feels like I haven't really like popped off. And I mean, if y'all can look around, America has seemingly only gotten worse in the last 10, 20 years. So, a big part of me launching this platform is in part for myself as well, to be able to tell my story and to just keep my head in the game because it gets really hard to keep your eyes on your dream when everything looks like it's not working. Um, so if you're watching this live, you likely found me from the I'm Not a Lawyer But podcast that I did. Their podcast called The Debrief. Shout out to Mel and Goose. And on that podcast, I talked about human development and the impacts and how it impacts the rate at which like Black boys, Black people get involved in crime and get caught up in the system and all those different things. Well, that episode was really well received, which I'm very grateful for. And it was very encouraging to see how many people were positively impacted by me just talking about what I'm passionate about, and the things that I've studied as it relates to human development and behavior and race and politics and systems and all those things. And just like the way people were so supportive of me being myself. But since the podcast, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, I have named something for myself. Despite the outside reality that it was very well received and that people thought it was very helpful, I have been bombarded by this inner reality that comes from uh, my lived experience, um, that says, like, nobody wants to hear this stuff, or even if they want to hear it, you're not going to get paid for it. You can't make a career out of it. And in all honesty, like, if I'm really being vulnerable, the comment section of my I'm not a lawyer, but interview on the debrief, that episode was one of the first times I've ever really fully felt like received and appreciated for my unique perspective on life and for what I know to be one of the ways to advance Black people in America. My experience as Remington has always been one of being an outsider. Every place that I've been, from high school to college to teaching to consulting, I was even associate vice president of a large nonprofit, um, a national nonprofit. And in those different experiences, all of them have ended kind of with this resounding voice that says in my head, you were too much. You were too much for that space. You dreamed too big. You flew too close to the sun. You pushed back too much." And so that's a narrative that has become kind of like a ball and chain for me that I drag around every day of my life. And so starting this platform feels like such a risk because of that narrative. Um, if I've never been accepted for my ideas and my impact before, like, why would starting a platform change that? It's kind of the narrative that's in my head that I'm trying to combat by just going ahead and getting on camera and talking my talk and just seeing what happens. Um like I said, it feels, so risky, like putting myself out there. One of the things I was thinking earlier when I was trying to decide whether I wanted to do this or not is like, well, at least the L's I've taken in the past, they've been in private. Why would I press record to all these people and go live and take the L's in public? It's like, oh, okay, you look crazy, but hey, if I'm honest, like, I do feel like this is something that I need to do. No matter how scary it is. I tend to be like a really private person. I'm an introvert. And this really feels like choosing to put myself like on display for public critique and for people to fight back. Like, I see how unforgiving the internet is, and God forbid you coming on the internet to talk positively about Black people in America. You certainly not gonna, that's probably not gonna be well received. But again, it's just something that I feel like I have to do. Um, and as somebody who carries like a lot of battle scars and trauma for speaking up for Black people since I was really young, it just feels like a really big risk, and one that I'm not 100% sure I believe that I can survive should I decide to really like put my all into it. Just again, because I have seen how people just do not care about Black folks. So I think I just needed to share that before I could go on and put out anything that's like polished. Like, I feel like I needed to first, for myself, just be honest about uh the pressure and the fear that I'm feeling just by like pressing record, regardless of all the big ideas in my head, regardless of all the positive feedback that I've received in the past, in a myriad of ways, honestly. It has still just been so hard for me to press record and really start doing this podcast. And so I wanted to go live to just break the seal. Like I've done it now. I'm sitting here talking to y'all, telling y'all all my little business, and it's not so bad yet. But we'll see. We're gonna actually, I'm gonna take that back. We're gonna claim that it's gonna be positive vibes around here. Positive vibes. Um, and so one thing that I want to say is like I don't ever want this platform to feel more polished than it feels like being black every day. Um I think something our community needs is someone who is fighting in the skin that we're actually living in. We leave our homes every day um more healed than we return. Like going out into the world as a black person, you take some hits. It's a battle. Even if nobody does anything to you directly, even if nobody says anything to you directly, you turn on social media, you hop on Twitter, you hop on Instagram, you on threads. Like it feels like you're always under attack. But I really feel like we need spaces where we can be battered and bruised together. Um, because that's a part of healing, in my opinion. Nobody can heal in a room of perfect people. So here's, I mean, I guess my solution that I'm offering to that is the Remington Room, a room where you can bring your battered, bruised, broken experiences, stories, your worst days, um, and we can be sad together, we can be happy together, we can be curious together, we can be furious together. But by all means, I feel like we have to be like as black people, being is an act of resistance. Um, because I mean, I think if you've been black for any significant amount of time, like you can tell they do not want us to be. White supremacy is consistently trying to break us down, twist our stories, dismantle our spirit, and squeeze us dry of any semblance of morality or strength that we have left. But we don't have to fall for that. We don't have to allow it. We're allowed to gather in our own space where we make the rules, where we decide how to heal ourselves, where we get to steal away and learn and organize around like creating a united front for how we want to show up in the world as black people and advance our people. Um, and so, as much as the Remington Room is for me, I also want it to be for you. And of course, it's not just going to be like every topic is not going to be about race and class and privilege and culture. But like, as we know, these things seep into everything that happens in the life of somebody who lives in this skin. And so, one of my rules of life is that race is always on the table. The Remington Room is going to be a podcast about understanding human behavior, understanding why people do what they do, whether it's in romantic relationships, whether it's family dynamics, whether it is work relationships. That is my area of special of that is my like specialty area. I think it's really important that we have to understand what motivates people before we can start to um, build bridges or make any changes that are long lasting. And so that is my goal here for the Remington Room. And alongside that understanding, I also want this to be a healing room, a healing space for Black people, and some of that healing to come through greater understanding of how humans work. Um, and so, I mean, welcome. you know, I hope I can find the courage to pick up this camera again after today and just keep bringing content that is for us, by us, and to us, to our people, that will help us continue to understand the world better and navigate with more healing. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I did it, y'all. I broke the virtual seal. I did my first little live. It wasn't how long is we on here? About 15 minutes. It wasn't too long. If you come back and watch this later, I don't be on the internet, so I'm not sure where it goes or how if you can find it later. I have to do some research to figure that out. But if you come back and watch this later, please leave a comment. I need all the encouragement I can get to actually like keep doing this, because it feels very scary and in some ways dangerous, like to speak up for Black people in this current version of America. But we're not gonna let that stop us. So if you got anything out of this, if there's anything you want to learn more about, if there's any questions that you have, if you were uh gracious enough to listen to the I'm Not a Lawyer But episode, comment, if there's any questions you have following up. I was all up in them comments. And so y'all can DM me or whatever the case may be. I would love to hear from everybody. And at some point, I do want to like actually answer behavior and development questions that come from my followers and audience. And so this is going to be like, it's going to be a cool platform. And I'm really excited that everybody's here. I'm excited to be here. Let me know how the energy was. Let me know how the sound was. Let me know anything you want me to know. Anything that's encouraging. If you discouraging, your mama. And so thank you for listening. See you all soon back in the Remington room. All right. Deuces.